Hello, everyone. I am Becky Sandoval Young, and I work here in the Career Center. And today we're going to talk to you about successful interviewing.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby. I'm a career advisor here at SSU, and I'm going to start out by talking about what we do here at the Career Center and what we offer. So we offer career advising, planning, and exploration. We also help with cover letter and resume review and development. We can help with interview prep. We can help with graduate school exploration. We provide on-campus and off-campus workshops. We also host career and job fairs, so please attend those if you see them. We also support with finding jobs and internships. So if you don't already have a Handshake account, we highly recommend to set one up and to look for positions on that platform. And you can find on-campus positions as well as off-campus positions. Okay, so here are the goals of this workshop. So we really want you to master the interview, right? That's the main purpose. So we're going to talk about the purpose of an interview. We'll go over some common questions that are typically asked during an interview. We'll go over some strategies for successful interviewing, and we will also provide resources for reflection and practice. So the purpose, we really want you before an interview to assess the organization and your candidate alignment, right? So we want you to look at the qualifications. Do you match those? If you don't match them 100%, don't worry too much about that. You can still always apply. We also want you to see if your personality, if you think it would fit in and align with the organization that you're hoping to apply for. We definitely want you to look at the responsibilities of the job description, what you'll be doing, assessing whether you would enjoy that type of work. And we also for sure want you to look at the company culture and environment and to also assess if that's a type of organization or company that you would feel comfortable working for, you'd be happy working there, and all that good stuff. So there are many different types of interviews. Common ones include phone interviews, live video interviews, which are happening way more regularly since COVID. Also in-person interviews. There's also panel interviews where there's multiple interviewers there. And there's sometimes even group interviews where there's multiple candidates being interviewed as a group at one time. So we really want to help you all understand the art of interviewing. So interviewing requires practice. And I'm the first one to say this. I need to practice every time I interview, and it really, really helps. So if you need help practicing, come visit us. We can help provide a mock interview. We can provide you with extra resources to help prepare you better. But it's really, really important to not wing an interview and to really practice beforehand. We also want you to understand what is being asked of you, right? So getting prepared is going to help you understand, questions to be prepared for, things to bring to the interview, how you should be dressed, all that good stuff. And of course, we want you to always share your authentic self. So we don't want you to pretend to be someone that you're not, because that's going to make you hate the job you're going to be in if you're pretending you're someone you're not, right? So I just want you to know that interviewing is not easy, and it's not about getting the right answers. It's rather about how you share yourself, your skills, and your personality, and to see if it really, really matches the job requirements and office culture. Okay, so step one is preparing for the interview through research, right? We really, really want you to know the ins and outs of the job description. So really understand what you're being asked of that job, what your duties and tasks will be. We also would love for you to just look at the company website before, you go to an interview or have an interview. Know what their website is like, know what they offer, all that stuff. Also, try your best to know the mission and vision statement. Again, this is an important area for you to see if you're going to enjoy working there. So another important thing is to prepare through research is understanding the industry and the market. So market trends, you can find this all online. And if you need help researching this, we are here for you to help teach you how to do this. Another great area for you to look at and prepare for is looking over social media platforms. What is the company like? Do they post regularly? Do they have, a lot of events, company events? Do you like socializing? Do you like networking? You can find out a lot of things about a company through their social media sites. And LinkedIn, you can prepare through research on LinkedIn. You can find other alumni from SSU or other, SSU students that are working there through LinkedIn. You can also find, job postings through LinkedIn. There's just a lot of stuff you can do on LinkedIn that can really, really help prepare you for the interview. And lastly is Glassdoor. This is a really, really great area. And I know my colleague Becky knows a lot about Glassdoor, and this is an awesome place for you to, find out about, what previous or current employers are saying about a company. And this could really, really help prepare you for the interview by knowing, the ins and outs of previous and current employers and what they say. Okay, so introductions. We really want you to make a great first impression. And I feel like, an introduction may seem like it's really simple, but, this is a great thing to practice as well in a mirror with your friends and family. So, we want you to smile, right? Try it and be as friendly as possible. You can start with a handshake as well. If you don't feel comfortable with that in person due to COVID, you can wave, and same with waving in a virtual setting. It's very important to just greet your interviewers, in a kind way. Next is, choosing whether you want to dress, in a business professional outfit or a business casual outfit. This is where you can find out whether, what the company's norms are and expectations are. You can do this through your research, like what we were talking about in the last slide. You can look on social media, you can look at their website and see if you can find some pictures about what their day-to-day norms are and expectations are regarding, what they dress like. Usually it's business casual, so I don't think you can go too wrong with that, but I would also do some research. Next is body posture, right? You don't want to be slouched over or looking like you don't want to be there, you're uninterested. So really, really try your best to be good at your posture and making sure that you are aware of that. Next is eye contact, right? I know this can be hard, especially in a virtual setting. So trying to look at that camera, if possible. I'm trying to do that right now, but I know that can be hard because, the screen is where the faces are appearing. So this is something that you can try your best to be aware of as well, but I know sometimes it can be difficult. The next thing is gestures. So, gesturing with your hands, just being really, really engaged. This is an important one to try and be aware of as well. And filler words. I just said as well. So yeah, these are hard to try and get rid of, but trying to be aware of them and knowing, we're not perfect. We're going to say and here and there, and that's totally okay. But just trying your best to be aware of it. And when you do realize you're doing it, try to stop, just like I just did. Okay. So Solar, I don't know if any of you have heard of this technique, but it is a technique for active listening. So here are the things that we hope you can try to do during an interview. And it's great to practice this with family and friends, during a class, all that good stuff. So squarely facing, right? You don't want to be turned away. Open body language, leaning in slightly to make it seem like you're really intrigued and you're listening and you're engaged. Again, make eye contact. And the last one can be hard to do, but try your best to relax. Okay, so tell me about yourself. This is an important slide because typically this is the first question you will be asked in an interview. And here are some things that we are hoping you can incorporate in this question. And we really just want you to, have some selling points for this job and why you think you'd be a great fit for this role. So, who you are, what makes you a good candidate, highlight your experiences, highlight your skills, highlight anything that you think makes you qualified for this position. Also, why are you interviewing today? This could be having a number of years of experience. This could be, a referral. This could be your dream job, right? So really try and incorporate that as well. And then if possible, mentioning something memorable about yourself is also important, right? So this could be, talking about a leadership role you had while you were here at SSU, or this could be a hobby that is really unique and you would like, people to know about that. Mentioning something memorable will help people remember you. And when they are, weeding out applicants and candidates, they will most likely tie that in. Hey, do you remember that lacrosse player? I really liked what they said during this question. So really, really try your best though, to keep it relevant to the position. So if, sports wasn't really relevant to the position you're applying for, maybe that's not the route you go down. But if it is, then that's totally acceptable and awesome. And we can also help you come up with a tell me about yourself blurb. We also have a ton of resources on the Career Center site and our Canvas course to help with this as well. We have a really short video that I'm going to play really quickly, and this is just a great video to also talk about this important question. Uh-oh, 1 second. It just went back. Okay, let's see. Will it let me play it? Okay, maybe it won't let us play it. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry about that.
I'm currently a senior at the University of Pennsylvania, where I'm majoring in marketing and have also had the chance to gain experience through a number of marketing internships. I spent this past summer in London, where I took courses at the London School of Economics and also interned in the marketing department for an apparel company. It was a great experience overall, and I learned a lot about international marketing. The previous summer, I interned at a marketing agency here in Philadelphia, where I supported the team on marketing projects for a number of different clients in the fashion industry. I did a lot of work on social media marketing campaigns and helping to staff marketing events. I also have past experience working as a server, a receptionist, and a camp counselor, which have all helped me develop my communication skills. I'm really excited about this opportunity because it's such an innovative company, and I think the job description is a really good match with my social media marketing experience and my passion for fashion.
Okay, that was a great video. And if you want a video like this, I recommend just going on YouTube and searching "Tell me about yourself" questions for interviews. And there is probably a lot of great videos out there to also help.
All right. So when we get to interviews, there's really a couple things that you need to know. For the most part, there's two types of questions. When you break it down to that thought process, right? Which type is this question? Is it a behavioral question or a skill-based question? It's going to help you navigate the answers. Skill-based questions are easy to identify. They're designed to assess the hard skills you have. So if you're a science student, they may ask you about the time that you've used pipettes, or how have you navigated Excel pivot tables as a business student, right? Those are hard skills trying to assess, do you physically have the skills necessary for the job? Behavioral skills are a little bit more complex, and where a lot of us important interviewing happens, because this is geared to help the interviewer learn who you are as a person, a worker, and a team member. Because ultimately, right, I spend hours with Shelby every week, right? Sometimes I see Shelby more than I see my husband. Not because, I don't want to hang out with my husband, but because Shelby and I share a wall. Literally, I could knock on the wall right now. Shelby was on the other side. And it's important that, right, as the team members, we work well together. And the interviewer is trying to assess, as a team, how's that going to look, right? And what's this person going to look like in my space? Am I going to want to spend time with this person? And they answer those questions through behavioral questions. So we're going to talk some more about those next. So behavioral questions are really based on the idea of understanding your past behaviors. They're going to predict your future performance, right? And so they want you to be able to go back and explain things that you've done to understand how you're going to behave in upcoming situations. So things they're looking for: how do you communicate? Are you professional? What does that look like for you? How do you think through things? What's your thought process? How do you critically think? Do you critically think in a way that's going to help their company move forward? Competence, are you competent? Are you able to navigate through things? And your potential to be a good partner. No one expects you coming in to know all of the answers. If you did, you'd be the supervisor, right? You're coming in, you're not supposed to know everything, but they want to know, can you get there? And how are you going to be as you get there? So here are some common questions. So where a good interviewer is going to ask them like this: describe your most rewarding college experience. Describe your most challenging college experience. Describe a time you were part of a team. Describe a specific time you were busy and how you prioritize. Sometimes they'll ask them like this: tell me how you're going to respond when you fail, right? And your job is automatically to associate it back to describe a time, right? They may say, tell me about how you might handle a deadline. Your job is to go back to describe an experience involving a timeline, right? And so other ones were describe a time that you may have gone above and beyond the call of duty, right? And tell me about when you might have demonstrated leadership. And that may look like, tell me about how you demonstrate leadership. Again, right? You're trying to listen for the question that they're asking, which isn't always the question that they're saying. So the way you answer these questions, you're probably like, oh my goodness, that is so much information. How do I answer that? Well, the good news is we got a little acronym for you. It's called STAR. Anytime I interview, I literally write STAR on the top of my interview platform, super big. And I'm good at that. This is my career, but I still write it because when you get there and you get in the moment, we get nervous. We get, antsy, and so we sometimes forget the things that we've practiced, and so sometimes just having that visual cue is helpful. And so all it means is situation, task, action, result. Situation, you're going to explain the time that you were doing that, provide context, so that the person is going to be able to understand the story you're telling them. Why the task is describe the challenge and what expectations were you going to do. Why did you even have to do what you needed to do, right? And then the action is your actions. What did you actually do? What did you actually teach somebody? What tools did you use? And then the results of this. And what's really great about the results component is even if you didn't have great results, you can talk about a learning experience you have and how you would change that situation next time. So here's a great example. Situation: when I was working at XYZ, I was assigned task. I was assigned to inventory all the widgets. Action: I created a chart on an Excel and recorded an inventory by size and color. Result: as a result, my employer has a complete inventory of the widgets for the first time and allowed them to improve production. So you may not have been told, this might not have been your idea, right? As an employer, I might have asked someone to go inventory all the widgets, but understanding why you were doing that task allows you to provide that result. So just kind of remember that in your work world, if you're doing something, asking it is going to help you provide a better interview answer. So here's a case study. We're going to break it down one more time. Describe a time when you provided superior customer service. So you're going to go back to a situation. Last year, I worked at a telephone company as a customer service representative. Last year, I worked as a culinary student in our kitchens on campus. Last year, I worked as a career center employee, right? Talk about where you're at. So then this is the tasks. Customers would sometimes call and express frustration about the service they received from my former company. It was my job to make sure that that whatever their problem was resolved. All right, so you would enter here however you perform customer service. By using active listening skills, right? So this is the action, what you actually did. I would briefly reflect back to the customer the problems that they were having to make sure that they addressed the correct issues. Then I would create a step-by-step action plan with the customer according to their specific issue, and I would make sure the customer was satisfied before ending the phone call. And I would follow up with an email summarizing the phone call. My customers were highly satisfied, right, as we move into results with my service. I'm sorry, and I'm proud of my 5-star customer service, my customer survey reviews. Right, so those are the results. Again, you probably are doing things just in your natural job or in things that you're doing. It's just trying to navigate those and be able to already hold on to them so that you are able to provide these results in the moment. So one more. Tell me about a time you served as a leader. I really want to be really clear here. So this next one is a formal leadership experience. We all have leadership experience, whether it's formalized or not, right? So if you were working in the kitchens and there was a giant spill and you were the one who grabbed other students to help clean it up, that's a time you were a leader. If you were had a group project and you were the person who made sure everything got done, that's a time you were a leader. So there's a lot of places that you were a leader, and so this can sometimes trick students up. You're like, well, I wasn't a student leader, but it doesn't mean you haven't led. And if you can't find that place, come in. Shelby and I are great at helping you figure out where is that place that you've been a leader, right? So tell me about a time you served as a leader. Last season, I served as a captain of my soccer team. Before I came into the role, the team had low morale and low commitment. That's really tough, right? You, as an interviewer, I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, tell me how you fix that. As a newly elected captain, it was important for me to focus on motivating my team, but also enhance the team dynamic and create a sense of camaraderie. Excellent task, right? So now you understand as an interviewer, the person doing the interviewing, what you had to do. Then you're going to move into your actions that you've done. I built 10 minutes at the end of every practice for my team processing, where our team share positive feedback with each other. I also plan team gatherings off the field where we could socialize and hang out. And then to the results. Our team dynamics improved drastically and result of our formal and informal building opportunities, morale increased. And we even went on to win intramural championships. Even if you lost your intramural championships, if you were the worst team out here, that is such a successful leadership story that you would want to share, right? That team morale, that excitement to be there. So this one always tricks people up. They want to, tell me about your greatest strengths. Sometimes these are easier than our weaknesses, but you still want to think about these ahead of time and you want to think about them within the job. I'm an excellent baker. I make really good baked goods. No one cares that is my best strength when I'm interviewing to be a career advisor, right? They want to know about what I do in the role that I am doing. And so you want to think about it within that particular role, right? So again, think about it ahead of time, identify behavioral, and this is a great place to bring in those technical skills if you have standout technical skills that are going to make you stand up. And then you're going to want to weave this throughout the interview, right? So you're going to want to share the times that you did those skills throughout all of your behavioral questions, because that's going to emphasize over and over and over again your strengths. But then you can also share them. So if anyone says I can be a leader, can you prove it? I feel that one of my greatest strengths is the ability to take initiative. If I see a process that could be improved, I will jump in at the opportunity. For example, at my position, and then you're going to go straight into the STAR format, right? And you'll be able to talk about the task and action and result. Okay, this is the tough one, the greatest weakness. We don't want to hear things like I work too hard or I'm a perfectionist, right? Those aren't weaknesses. The interviewer has heard that 100 times. It's not about framing the things that you do well in a way of as a weakness, right? It's truly understanding the things that you don't do well and being able to talk about and demonstrate how you're aware of those challenges because everybody has them and that you can be successful. The other thing is you don't want to give them some crazy red flags, right? You don't want to say, I don't work well with people. You don't want to say, I can never make it through the front door on time. Um, those may be true, but this isn't the place to say those things. So you're going to want to find an example that demonstrates that you're aware of your challenges and how you're working to overcome them. So here is some structure to that, right? So you're going to explain the challenges presented by your strengths. What are you doing? What are you doing and have you done to help strengthen that weakness? So sometimes we can have a weakness that's opposite of our strength. And so our strength can help balance that. So you're going to share how you've done that. You know your strengths and how you're successful. So here's an example. I struggle with public speaking. I have a hard time saying no, even though when I'm overwhelmed at work, I'm an introvert and can be shy at new things. I often take on more work instead of delegating to my coworkers. And then you're going to want to again share how you've navigated that, right? So even if you're bad at public speaking, you might say, I struggle with public speaking, but I practice ahead of time, something along those lines. So let's break these down a little further. So some case studies. I have a deep sense of responsibility for completing tasks that are assigned to me to the best of my abilities. For this reason, I have trouble delegating tasks or asking for help when I take on too much, right? That lets the employer know something very important about you, but it's more than I just work hard. I recognize that this was neither healthy for myself or efficient for others in the company. I wasn't productive when I was overloaded in projects, right? This is continuing explaining why this deep sense of responsibility can get you in trouble. I have become more aware of this. Excellent. And when I have reached my threshold and started to ask for help, in turn, this has strengthened my relationship with my team. Great. And has allowed me to give 100% of the projects that I am working on. All right. Here is, if you don't listen to anything else we've said, this is the most important thing. When you have done an interview, you have talked for 30 minutes to an hour, and the interviewer has not. They have things to tell you, every one of them. I've never interviewed somebody and not wanted to share something at the end. So when they say, do you have questions? You're going to say, yes, I do, right? Even if you don't have any questions, even if your best friend has had this job, you know everything about it, you are going to ask questions. So repeat after me. Do you have any questions? Yes, I do. All right. So you want to make sure you use this time wisely when you're asking those questions, and you want to use the time to indicate excitement about the position, learn more about the organization, and show them that you're going to hit the ground running. I think the next page is questions to ask. Yeah. Oh, nope. So let's go back one more slide real quick. So great questions to ask in this space are, tell me about the company culture. What would a successful candidate look like? Can you tell me what, the goals of your department are in 5 years from now, right? Assessing kind of what that space will look like for you. All right. After the interview, you're going to take some time to self-reflect. We always want you to do this. The reality is this probably will not be your last interview. Whether or not it's your last interview in this process, true, but you're probably going to interview again in a couple of years as you're ready for a better job. So you want to think what went well, what could I have done better? What areas did I highlight? Did I feel comfortable? Did I feel confident? And if you're not feeling confident, we really want you to assess why that is. No one knows you better than you, right? So you should be able to feel excellent after interviews if you've practiced enough ahead of time because you're sharing you, right? And if you can come in feeling that confidence and feeling like, I got this, I've shared me, whatever happens next is easier, right? Because you've shared yourself to the fullest. So after you've done all that assessment, please write a thank you note. That's really important. You can send it via email. You can send it in the mail. It's really, really important that you send that thank you note. It just lets that employer know that you've gone that extra step. If I am worried about this, because sometimes I'm like have really busy days, I pre-write the thank you notes and then I fill in the bits afterwards. So then it's just a quick send right after the interview, and it makes it much easier for me and everyone else. So some general tips, you got to be honest. It's really obvious when someone is lying their way through the interview. Be honest, be who you are. Also, if you're not honest, you're not going to like the job. They're going to hire the person that interviewed and not who you are. You want to dress for success. This doesn't necessarily mean a three-piece suit for every interview. For some companies and organizations, it will, right? So Shelby said, but research company culture. That's a really good place. Glassdoor, all of those places to assess what company culture is, so you know the appropriate way to dress. Practice. I recently heard a statistic that said you're 75% more likely to get a second interview if you practice. And so that's as easy as just going through the questions we got asked in here, going through the job description. Can you tell about a time that you've done every one of those things? Prepping answers ahead of time. I love going into an interview with things I've already prepared, scenarios I'm prepared to share no matter how they ask them. Do your research, ask for clarification. There's nothing wrong with saying, can you explain more about that? What are you looking for? Breathing. It's totally okay to breathe. It's totally okay to breathe after they've asked a question. And then you want to tell them that you really want the job. You want to share the excitement. Another tip that I love to share that's not on here is when you are talking for 30 minutes, you're going to say something totally weird. I'm going to call Shelby out right as she was talking about filler words. She said the word and she told you. Now, when you point out something like that as a mistake, it's more obvious, right? If she had just continued moving on, we might not have noticed. It was a filler word, so there's 50-50 chance that we would have seen that, Shelby. But right, so when we hold on to those moments, the same is true in interviews. Now, that was no big deal if you said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said I'm that much, they're going to move right on. But if you say something weird, just move forward. Okay, so this is not the end of all of our resources. This is not the last time we're going to talk to you. We are here to help you out. In our Canvas toolkit, we have STAR and interview practices. We do have some things about turning anxiety into excitement. It's a whole tip on how to overcome interviews. We have a guide on interviewing, and then we have a interviewing tool called Standout. You can just email the Career Center and we'll get you all hooked up with that. And then this is how to find us. Email us at thecareercenter@sonoma.edu. There's our website, and we're happy to help you out with any of your questions.